Good afternoon, everyone, and we welcome you to this virtual conversation. I should say, I wanted to say conference, but it's going to be just a conversation today. Friends Group resources that you don't want to miss. My name is Kitty Spires, and I am currently the president of Friends of South Carolina Libraries, as well as my local Friends Group. But today our focus is on Dr. Curtis Rogers, who is Mr. Library to me. As I look at the resume, he is both local, state, and internationally acclaimed. So Curtis has worked with the state library for many years. He's done many presentations. One that I think is actually pretty phenomenal, and I don't know how he got to do this. Maybe at one point he'll tell us, but he presented at the 2009 German Library Association Conference, and I believe in Hamburg, Germany. Is that correct, Curtis?
And
so
Erfurt.
I'm sure he has lots of great information for us today. So if you will, make sure that your audio stays muted so that we can clearly hear what Dr. Rogers has to say to us. And at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Curtis Rogers to present Friends Group resources.
All right, well, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be with everyone today. I'm glad to see everyone with us. And I'm going to go ahead and go through these slides. And I don't have a tremendous amount of slides, but there are a couple of resources. I am going to go to the website so that you can kind of follow along and see what I'm talking about and find all the resources that are available. And this is a very general presentation. So, you know, there's all kinds of resources. I am not the be all and end all of knowledge in this area. So I'm going to be relying on the wisdom of crowds here. Hopefully a lot of you will have resources that you can share. One thing I like to do at the beginning of a presentation, especially that is virtual, is to do some virtual networking. So I'm going to ask you all to do a lot of stuff while we are here. So if you're trying to multitask and do email and do other stuff, then kind of put that away and concentrate on what we're doing. And what I would like for you to do is in the chat area, go ahead and share your library name or your library friends group that you're affiliated with so that we can kind of see who all is in attendance. If you look at participants list, that's just a bunch of names. So I always think it's great to know who's attending. So just in the chat, go ahead and put whatever you'd really like to share. I also have a LinkedIn account and Facebook, Twitter, all that kinds of stuff. Oh, wow, we've got Friends of Libraries in Oklahoma. Cool. Charleston County Public Library and Medical University. We've got Pratt Memorial, Hardyville, Jasper County. And again, try to go ahead and mute yourself so we'll not have a lot of background noise. Friends of Library, Hilton Head Island. Okay. And yay, Tiffany, library development at the South Carolina State Library. We've got the Friends president of the Irmo Branch Library in Lexington, Hartsville, Friends of the Library Group. So great, we've got, and we've got president of FOSCL as well as South Congaree, Pine Ridge, and Lexington, Friends of York County Library. So good, we've got a great broad and, McCormick, broad coverage across the state. So welcome to you all. And again, keep your eye on the chat because this is an interactive session. Like I said, I do not know all about all of the resources. I'm just going to be showing you the ones that I'm familiar with and the ones that I have found and kind of talk about some things that might be of interest to you as far as brainstorming and figuring out how you can go about working more with your friends group. let's see. Also, we are recording this session, and I do have a PDF of these slides that I'm going through. So don't feel as though you have to take a lot of notes. If you would like a copy of this whole presentation as a PDF, we can definitely email that to you. That can be emailed out to the registrants, or if you just want one specifically, I will show my email address at the very end, and you can email me, and I'll be more than happy to email that to you. And what I'm going to go through are, I'll start out with a few local things, and then we'll move on to some state resources and some national resources. And hopefully we'll have enough time for some Q&A, so that if there's anything you all want to talk through or have any questions, that's great. Also, during the brainstorming, if you don't like to use chat and you are comfortable unmuting yourself, you're more than welcome to do that, and I'll certainly facilitate that when we get there. So I'm going to go ahead and move to the next slide. Whoops. And I want to talk a little bit about local resources. You know, there are a lot of state and national resources, but one of the things that's really, really important are our local resources, because that's the area that our community is supported by and our library is supported by. So there are different groups like Kiwanis Club and Rotary International, and a lot of these kinds of clubs, I think, are important because they usually have guest speakers at their regular meetings. One of the things that I think is a great idea is that if you have an upcoming event for your friends group, or if you're just doing a membership drive, it's great to get on the agenda for one of these kind of local groups. I think they're really, really beneficial. You can do a presentation at one of these club meetings and talk about your upcoming events, and also help build membership. So keep that in mind too. Another local resource that I think is important that a lot of people tend to maybe forget about are radio stations. One of the things that you can do is just contact your local radio station and offer to be interviewed about what the Friends group does. Sometimes they'll have little, you know, talk show components, or they'll also like sound bites, and maybe some will do free or nonprofit rate advertising. So it just depends on what's in your area. And don't forget about not only FM, but AM. There are people who actually still listen to AM radio. So if there's an AM station in your area, those tend to be local, and you can, and a lot of them are really looking for, you know, some content and things that you can talk about. Maybe even if there's a regular slot, you can get involved in to talk about not only what the Friends is doing, but what the library is doing, and kind of build some momentum for your library through the Friends group. I think that's a great option. Also, another local resource is billboards. I think a lot of times Friends groups and anyone, libraries for that matter, tend to think billboards are really, really too expensive to use, but a lot of them do offer nonprofit pricing. And for instance, like Lamar Advertising and Grace Outdoor Advertising, you've probably seen those names in your areas if you have billboards in your areas. And if you're able to use, if there are digital billboards in your area, your community, using those can be really beneficial, because a lot of times those billboard companies are looking for content. And they will, if you're nonprofit, they will actually give you some more airtime, because they're having to fill in on a rotational basis what those billboards are advertising. So 2 keys about using billboards in your local area is that they're really time sensitive. You have to plan way in advance. You know, if you have a book sale coming up with your friends group, or you're going to be doing a membership drive with your friends group, plan at least 6 months in advance, and, you know, have someone contact that billboard company and, you know, get some quotes. But also remember, on a billboard, when you're talking about the design of it, sometimes the billboard company will do the design for you and work that into the fee. But if you can provide your own design, then sometimes that's even a little bit cheaper. It just depends on the company. But also remember that less is more. People are driving by, and I don't know if you've seen a billboard and it has 5 million things going on it. You can't take it all in. And of course, you don't want a QR code on a billboard because then people are trying to hold their phones up as they're driving, and that's not a good thing. So you want to keep it as simple as possible. If you are talking about, if it's the McCormick County Friends of the Library, then that's the words, that's the verbiage that you would want on a billboard. Then if you have, book sale, July 29th, that's all you need to put. If people are going to be looking for you on the web, they're just going to Google McCormick County Friends of the Library. They're not going to necessarily remember a website address, especially if it's too long. Or if it ends in a .gov or a .org, they're not going to remember that. So a lot of times you don't necessarily even need the website address on a billboard. Just keep it as simple as possible and just always remember that less is more. So talking about local resources, I kind of want to facilitate a little brainstorm session. And in your chat area, if you would like to share other kinds of possible local resources that you think are useful, or maybe in the past they have been useful to your friends group. If you feel comfortable unmuting yourself and you would like to, just for 1 or 2 minutes, share something that has been really beneficial at the local level to your Friends of the Library group, then I'd be more than happy for you to do that. I'm going to take a sip. Okay, so in the chat area, if you have any other local resources that you think are useful. And Sharon is saying the college marketing class project. Ooh, yeah, that's great. And that kind of sparks into mind interns. If you want some good usually free assistance, interns are a great way to go. But I love the idea of a college marketing class project to try to help promote either membership drive or book sale events, that kind of thing. Also, we've got Historical Foundation. Susan's iPad, I'm not sure who that is partnering this Christmas for a story walk. That sounds really interesting. So yeah, if you have any local historical foundations, those are really good to partner with. And Susan, if you want to share anything more about that, that'd be great. That sounds fascinating. Also, Sydney's mentioning a local Zonta chapter. I'm not sure what Zonta is. I've never heard of Zonta. So if you want to elaborate on that. And Kitty, local Chamber of Commerce has memberships for nonprofits that help you engage the businesses of the community. And that's really important. Okay, and Sydney's mentioning that Zonta is essentially a female Rotary Club. Okay, great, thank you. But yeah, I love the idea also of the local Chamber of Commerce. Also, Better Business Bureau might be something that they might have some programs. You might have a local AARP. That might be a good resource to try to partner with. But always finding, local businesses who have to do some pro bono stuff, that's also a good thing. Sometimes you might even have like a local attorney's office who, need to do some pro bono work. And if there's anything they can come talk to a friends meeting about, like maintaining your 501c3 status and the importance of doing that. Okay, so Susan is mentioning we received permission to enlarge pages of The Grinch That Stole Christmas to post in local businesses for a story walk. And they'll be providing copies of the book for 50 plus or so children that complete the walk. That's a great project. And it's really important, I think, being able to hear about what other people are doing, because that gives us all great ideas of things that we can do. And that's one of the, one of the missions and kind of thought processes we have. By the way, I'm also on the board of Friends of South Carolina Libraries. And that's something that I think is important, that we kind of are a clearinghouse in a way for those ideas. And we as an organization trying to find out what people are doing across the state so that we can share those ideas with other folks. So very cool. Glad you was shared that. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next slide and talk a little bit about statewide resources. And I've written down here acronym soup because this is a lot of stuff. And let's see. Stuart is saying, are we going to cover getting a friends group started, recruitment and retention? Stuart, later on, I will be showing the United for Libraries website that does point to those kinds of resources. So I will definitely share that with you a little bit later. So as far as statewide resources go, we've got Friends of South Carolina Libraries, that's FOSCL, and SCLA, South Carolina Library Association, and APLA, also referred to as SCAPLA. Sometimes they put the SC in front of there. And that's the Association of Public Library Administrators. And then SCASL, or Association of School Librarians, and FOSCL, the partnership among South Carolina academic libraries. And then lastly, for statewide resources, I'm going to visit the state library's website and kind of talk about different resources that are available at the statewide level. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to our Friends of South Carolina Libraries, and there are a lot of great resources with FOSCL, but I will go ahead and see if Kitty would like to say a few words since she's our president and joining us today.
Yes, thank you, Curtis. I do want to just encourage you all to, if you are not a FOSCL member, to go ahead and you can do that on our website, and you see the face of the homepage of our website there on the right of Curtis's PowerPoint slide. So we have lots of fun things that we do. We also get very serious about doing some things. So we're in the midst of trying to do some focus on reorganizing our bylaws and working so that they work for everyone. But some of the fun things that we do are awards, not only to individuals, but awards to friends groups who have shown themselves to be very special. The annual grants awards, that would be something that could help a friends group begin to get organized more securely. Those awards actually have been they just closed, and we should be opening those back up early 2023. But we have presented those grant awards, and that grant is $250. There's an application that goes along with it. And then once you are awarded that grant, then we ask that you present at the next annual meeting conference to let us know how successful that money was to help you reach the goal that you wanted to achieve. So currently, Friends of York County Library received a grant. The Friends of Gilbert Summit Library received a grant. And this grant for them was actually to help them reinstate their 501c3 tax exempt status. So these funds are very varied in their use. So what we want you to do is continue to help us realize the potential that we can reach in awarding these grants. And then the Friends of Green Sea Floyd's also received a grant award. But the fun thing that we get to do at our conference each year is present individual awards. So when we had our conference in March in Mount Pleasant, the Friends of McCormick County received the Outstanding Friends Group Award, and that is only the second time that we've presented that award. It's a brand new award. So congratulations to Susie and her group for that. We get lots of very pointed, I will say, applications to look at public employees. And these public employees are majorly our librarians. So this year we actually worked to present 2 of those awards. One went to Shirley Sprini, who is the branch manager at Pillion branch, which is in the Lexington County system, and then to Dina Grant in the York County system. The John Landrum Advocacy Award is presented to an individual who is basically has a connection to building a group, doing a statewide effort for, what do I want to say, literally for library advocacy, to help make the news, the good news about libraries, be an ever-present conversation. And that award went to Mr. Andy Gambrell from South Congaree Pine Ridge Group. And then the Outstanding Individual Award went to Rosemary Teed. And she kind of walks on water, from what I understand from Grant and his group. They say that she is always the one who will entice anybody to basically do anything that's needed. But we work to make our library successful, and we are there to help you. And I noticed one of the comments in the chat was, how do we get started? If you will send me information about who you are, what you're doing, we will help find resources to get you started, and just make sure that you start on the right track. We also have with Marlena, who is the past president, some very good information about the particular financial aspects and licenses, so to speak, that you have to make sure that you operate successfully as a nonprofit. So you see our web address at the bottom there, and we just invite you to just review and scour that website. Anything you see that you would like to have more information about, all you need to do is email at fosclpresident@foscl.org. Thank you, Curtis.
Great, thank you so much. Appreciate all that information. And I'll just kind of echo what Kitty said, and Stuart had posted about, getting a friends group started. That's what we're here for as an organization. Reach out to us, we can help you and get started in the right direction. Also, one of the things that we do is liaise with the South Carolina State Library, so we can keep up with what is going on statewide in libraries, and that's very helpful, and do some advocacy for libraries in South Carolina. And we also, like Kitty mentioned, have an annual conference, and that annual conference rotates around the state. So it's never only just in Columbia, it's in different locations. So a few other resources that I'll go through before I show the state library's website is mentioning the South Carolina Library Association does have an annual conference, and they also have an advocacy committee that is important to, if you wanted to, as a friends group, reach out to them to maybe partner in doing something advocacy related for libraries. There are all different kinds of awards that SCLA offers, and they also provide some continuing education opportunities. So definitely look at the SCLA website, and you may get some ideas for things that can help your friends group. And Kitty is mentioning in the chat that our 2023 annual conference and meeting will be held at the Aiken Public Library in April. And so you can stay tuned to our website and get more updates about that conference, but plan in April for that to take place in Aiken. And then another resource is the Association of Public Library Administrators, and that's scapla.org. One of the things that's important to know about this organization, and this is for all of the public library directors and administrators, to, they offer the collective voice to ensure exceptional public library services across South Carolina. But if you're trying to reach out to other libraries in the state, maybe you want to partner as a region or do something, in your area that's outside of your county, and you're looking for partnerships, this may be a good resource for you. Also, there's a library information link, and you can get lots of different resources there. And then SCASL, the South Carolina Association of School Librarians, they also have a pretty big annual conference, and they offer something that is the Children's Book Awards, and a lot of YA librarians know all about the Children's Book Awards. There may be some partnership opportunities there. They're also great advocates, and they have a wonderful newsletter. It's called the SCASL Messenger, and you can go to their website and check out their newsletter. And then there's also FOSCL. This is the partnership among South Carolina academic libraries, and they offer some different resources on their website. They're a membership organization for academic libraries, and they have some online learning and webinars. They also have a great e-newsletter. But the reason I'm mentioning FOSCL is there may be some partnership opportunities for your friends group. You may have an academic library nearby with a special collection, or maybe you have an academic library nearby that has its own friends group, and there is something that you can partner with them on. So definitely worth the try to see what kind of opportunities are available there. But I recommend going to the FOSCL Library, FOSCL Partnership website and find out more about them. And lastly, in this state section, we have the South Carolina State Library. And what I'm going to do is just kind of show you some different resources available at their website. I'll show you how to get a library card. I'll mention about their grants research, show you a little bit about their collections, and they have a great newsletter that you can sign up for electronically. And then Discus, that's South Carolina's virtual library. And they also offer a talking book services. And I'm going to talk about a possibility that your friends group can partner with them. So let me go ahead and open the website, and I'm going to have to switch my view here. So hopefully right now you should see the website for the South Carolina State Library. And I'm just going to kind of navigate a little bit through this website. This is the main page. One of the things that I think is really important, if you scroll down to the very bottom, all of the stuff that I am talking about is going to get kind of cumbersome, to say the least, because there are a ton of resources. But you can always go to Ask a Librarian, and during work hours, you can actually have a chat with one of the reference librarians at the state library. So they can certainly help you with anything that you need access to. But if I go to this programs and services link here at the top, is everyone able to see the state library's webpage that I'm on right now? Okay, all right. Okay, great, thanks. Someone texted me and said that the screen didn't work, so hopefully you're able to see that. But anyway, if I click on the programs and services link here at the top, over here on the left, you have a lot of resources for South Carolina residents. And if you notice here is get a library card. And if you're 18 or over in South Carolina, you can get a state library card, and that gives you access to a number of different resources. And so you can fill out the library card application right here. And it's, there are some resources that are available only to state library card holders. So you would have access to those resources. We used to have, I say we, from when I worked at the state library, but the state library used to have a little bit more limited access, but now anyone who is a resident of South Carolina, 18 over, can get a library card at the state library. And yes, Libby, thank you. The state library is hosting a grants workshop on August 25th. I'm going to show that on the screen in just a moment. And if I go back to this programs and services page, you can see right here is grants research, and that will take you to more information about grants. And I'm going to show on the events calendar in just a moment how you can register for that class. You can also subscribe to the newsletters. The State Library has a couple of different newsletters: Discus Updates and Training Resources. Again, that's Discus, South Carolina's virtual library. And then also the more general newsletter and announcements. So you can subscribe to that there. That's completely free. And also I mentioned the Talking Book Services. This is a free statewide service that is a federally funded program. And one of the things that I had in mind when I was looking at the website, and if you click on programs right here, they have this thing called Petting Zoo. And this petting zoo is an assistive technology petting zoo. So people who may be interested in assistive technology for people who are visually impaired or have low vision, you can actually maybe possibly partner with your library. It can be something that the Friends can sponsor or the library can sponsor or both of you can sponsor, but seeing if the assistive technology petting zoo could come to your library and actually do a demonstration. So this would be a great partnership possibility. So definitely check that out. And I'm going to close that screen right there. And then another possible program, Ellen Dunn, who's the communications director, who I worked with for some years at the State Library, she has a therapy dog. And this is a really great program. And you can see right here how the State Library works with libraries. Ellen and Katie can visit public and academic libraries to provide sessions for children's programs. This might be something that your friends group might want to sponsor. So something to look at there. And you can see here's the contact information for Ellen. Oh, and Pamela mentioned my husband receives the talking books. Okay, great, wonderful. Glad you're using that program. So another item here is collections. If you look on the collections tab, there are a number of different collections at the South Carolina State Library that you would have access to with your state library card. And you have ebooks, all different kinds of things. Also, the State Library is a member of a consortium called SC Lens, and that has over 20 library systems statewide. And you can actually search for books right here. And if it's not at the State Library, but you need it sent to the State Library, you can have access that way. And I still use that service. It's a wonderful service. And also the A to Z list of databases. There are actually, I think 143 databases that are available. So for some of these, you would need a library card with the State Library. For some of these, you do not. But you can see this is a pretty extensive list. And a couple of the resources I wanted to highlight is book connections. This might be something that you might be interested in that would give you more information about reading. These are mostly at children's and young adults, but you can see they have a section for adults and professionals. So you might find some information on books there. And then if I go back to this list, there's under the L's, if I go down to L, we have the Literary Reference Center. And that's another Discus resource. That's what that little icon stands for. So the Literary Reference Center is really good if you are having a book discussion with your friends group, or you need information for a book sale or something. You can get lots of information here. So I highly recommend this Literary Reference Center. And I'm going to go back to the main page. And another area that I wanted to click on, and this was something that Libby had mentioned about the grants workshop. This is the events calendar. And by the way, I did want to go ahead and introduce Tiffany Hayes. She's joining us today. She is the Director of Library Development at the South Carolina State Library. And The state library can also be helpful for friends and trustees. So if there's anything you need at the state library, I'm sure Tiffany can help you. And if you'll notice here on the calendar under August, if you see under August 25th at 10:30 a.m., this is a grant writing, creating a winning proposal workshop. And this is an online webinar and it is open to the public. So if you're interested in learning more about that topic, you can certainly register right here. You just click on this link and you can register. Dawn Mullen is the presenter for that session. She's been doing those for years. So I highly recommend that if you're thinking about doing some grant writing for your friends group, this would be a free session that you would definitely want to take advantage of. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and switch back to my presentation, my slides. And let's see. So I want to have just a couple of minutes to brainstorm. If there are any other kinds of statewide resources that maybe you have used in the past that you would like to share in the chat, go ahead and start typing. And if not, if you're already overwhelmed with information, that's great too. Libby, yes, the South Carolina Humanities Speakers Bureau. Yes, that's a wonderful resource. And if somebody can find the link to that and put that link in the chat, that would be great. They have a Speakers Bureau and they also offer and provide grants for book discussions and speakers to come to your library. So if a friends group is interested in looking into that kind of program, then that would definitely be something to think about. Thank you for mentioning that, Libby. Great, thank you, Tiffany. There's the schumanities.org/projects/speakers. So definitely take a look at that statewide resource. And also the South Carolina Humanities has a free newsletter that is an electronic newsletter, and I still get mine, so you can definitely sign up for that and keep up with what South Carolina Humanities is doing. Wonderful resource. All right, I think since we've got 20 minutes left, okay, and Kitty is mentioning Friends of the SCPR has received a grant from South Carolina Humanities for a program with Jonathan Haupt in October. That's wonderful. Jonathan is the director of the Pat Conroy Literary Center down in Beaufort. And so, yeah, there's all kinds of great things that you can do. All right, I'm going to go ahead and move on to a couple of national level resources that I wanted to be sure and share with you. One is the American Library Association. They have a lot of great books and different kinds of resources in their ALA store, which you can find on their website. They're also big in advocacy. For instance, you can see right here on their main page, one of the things that a friends group can do is nominate librarians for the I Love My Librarian Award. And this is for the 2023. And you can see here on their website, nominations are open through September 30th. So if this is something your friends group wants to recognize one of your librarians, or if you just want to promote I Love My Librarian Award to your friends members, that's certainly something you can do. They have a lot of tools, publications, and resources that are very worth looking at. So I highly recommend going to the ALA website. And then the other national level resource I wanted to highlight is United for Libraries. And this is a division of the American Library Association. And they provide support for trustees and friends groups. And the South Carolina State Library pays for statewide access. And we've been talking about doing another webinar that will concentrate on how to specifically access these resources. So we're not going to do that today, but for another webinar that will concentrate on how to access all of that we will have something in the near future. And they also have webinars and videos. They have something called a power guide, and I will show you that power guide in just a minute. And also I wanted to remind everyone that National Friends of the Library Week is October 16th through 22nd. So it's a great opportunity for your friends group to promote itself, to maybe do a membership drive and figure out different ways that you can promote your friends group. They also have some free toolkits and promotional materials for public, academic, and school library friends. And I'm going to go ahead and go to their website just so I can show you. And let me share that screen. Okay, so hopefully you are seeing the United for Libraries website right now. And this is, I've gone directly to the Friends group, but you can, or the Friends area, but you can see they have the section here for trustees on that tab. And then here in the upper right for the Friends group, and that's the tab I'm on right now. And here at the United for Libraries resources for Friends groups, they have this power guide that you can get more information from. And they also have a great PDF, and this is something, and I think someone had, who was that who asked about starting a friends group? I think someone had asked about that. But anyway, here's a toolkit called Libraries Need Friends, Starting a Friends Group or Revitalizing the One You Have. This is from the former executive director of United for Libraries, and it's a free toolkit. And this is geared at public library friends group. So you can click on this link. I'll go ahead and try to pull it up. And okay, here we go. So this is the document, and you can see there's table of contents. How do libraries benefit from a friends group? Making the decision to start a friends group, how you get started, establishing of bylaws and 501c3 status. So all of this has that information there. So that's at the free toolkits. They've also got academic library friends toolkit for getting started, and a support for school libraries friends groups PDF there as well. And you can see here's a section on friend your library promotional materials. And let's see what else. And they also have a list of state friends groups. So FOSCL is listed there, some different fact sheets. So all kinds of resources that you have. And by the way, Tiffany Hayes, again, at the South Carolina State Library, is a kind of a conduit for United for Libraries at the state level. So actually, Tiffany, if you wouldn't mind putting your email address in the chat, that way, if people had any specific United for Libraries questions that they wanted to ask you, that would be great. They can go directly to you. Okay, it looks like we're at 2:45. I've got a few more slides I want to show. So I'm going to navigate back to my PDF PowerPoint presentation. And great, Tiffany has put in the chat her email address right there is thayes@statelibrary.sc.gov. Thank you, Tiffany. So just going through to a few more slides, some additional ideas and resources that I had that I wanted to share. One of the things that I think is very important in your friends group is that your friends members hear regularly from you, even if that's, on a monthly basis or, quarterly or weekly, however you want to do it, however your community responds best, is doing some kind of email marketing or social media. One of the things, if you do not have social media for your friends group, maybe you can partner with your libraries person who handles their social media if they are using social media, and you can share events through that. That may be an option. Also, one of the things I thought would be important to mention is that you have a book sale committee or an event committee. That committee will benefit greatly by having a little marketing subcommittee, so that you trying to put on the book sale or other event or membership drive don't have to worry about all the marketing, but have someone maybe set up a little marketing subcommittee so that you can not have to worry with all the promotion, but make sure that someone is doing it, because that kind of promotion is going to be really key to you having a successful event or membership drive. And I've got here what else, and we can hold off on that for the Q&A. And I also wanted to mention some books that are available through the South Carolina State Library. So when you sign up for your library card at the State Library on the website, there are some books available in the collection. One of them is Friends of Libraries source book. That's something you can check out. There's also the Essential Friends of Libraries, Fast Facts, Forms, and Tips. And then there's also one called The Good, the Great, and the Unfriendly, a librarian's guide to, let's see, working with friends groups. So if you work at your public library and you're a liaison with the friends groups, then that's something you can definitely take a look at. So I see we're at 2:48 p.m. and I wanted to say thank you so much for having me today and tuning in. I hope you've gotten some really good resources, but I do want to open it up for either Q&A. Again, like I said, I do not know all the answers, but we've got some great resources and folks here who are attending, and maybe you have an answer to something. So I'll go ahead and open it up into the chat. And while we're waiting for that, I don't know if Kitty or Marlena or any other board members for FOSCL would like to add something. If you want to unmute yourself, feel free to do that, or put something in the chat.
Curtis, I wanted to recognize that, here we go, sorry about that, that Susie with the McCormick Friends is also a board member with the Friends of South Carolina Library. So hello, Susie. She put her little comment in the chat. But Susie, if you wanted to share a little bit more about some of your partnerships with the Chamber of Commerce, maybe just spend a minute or two highlighting that partnership that your friends group has.
I can certainly do that. As a matter of fact, I had lunch today with the president of our local historical foundation, because we are working with them to do our story walk, which is also being supported by certainly our library. But their theme this year at the historic, and you wonder, how is that connected to the historical foundation? Well, they decorate the historic cotton gin in McCormick every Christmas, and have events the first 2 weekends of December. So we will be, certainly a part of that. We are on the chamber website. We do, they have a link to get information about our organization, but pretty much anything that the chamber is, putting together to, draw people to our little town of McCormick, we're involved with. We participate in the cookie walk. They had a wine walk. We participated in that, and it was called a wine walk, but if you didn't want to serve wine, some served hot chocolate and cider and that type of thing. But, and we certainly support the speakers that our local library director brings in. But one of our, our volunteers, they're golden, because we couldn't do any of this without the volunteers that we have. And we are one of the very few in the state that has a bookstore, that we don't just have a book sale a couple times a year. We're open Wednesday through Friday in the small town of McCormick from 10 to 4, so please come see us. And all of the books are donated. All of the staffing, behind the scenes staffing, the people that man the bookstore, they're all volunteers. We have no paid workers at all. So to think that we have that large of an army of volunteers sharing the work, we have a very
Susie, we've got
active.
I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but we've got a question along those lines about how to increase volunteerism among members. So it sounds like you've got a lot going on in McCormick. How do you tap into your volunteers? How do you tap into those volunteers in the community?
We are very unique, and we are a very rural community, but we also have a large retirement community in our county as well. So we have quite a few people that are retired that have some free time that they're willing to volunteer with certain organizations. So I think we have that to our advantage.
That might be a whole nother program that we need to put together as FOSCL, not only, bringing in new volunteers, retaining those volunteers.
Okay, I think Marlena froze.
Yeah, I think that
She was
happened,
having
but
some trouble with her internet.
yeah.
Yes, we will be doing some future virtual conversations. One of them will be September the 14th at 2 about book sales. And I was just talking with Marcia Snyder from Orangeburg. I think that's correct, Marcia. Yeah. Says Orangeburg County provided a space for a permanent shop in their new building, and they're open 2 days a week. My, what a great thing that they've done for their friends group, because space is always the challenge. I've heard from Greenville that the company that owns the building where they have their bookstore has doubled the rent on them. So they're working to find another place. So space for book sale, permanent space for book sales tends to be a real challenge. So Marcia, do what you can to love them and keep them, and let them know that you guys really appreciate that, because that is unique. There are a couple of other branches or a couple of other systems that do, but that's one of our challenges. But we will be having another virtual conversation on September the 14th at 2 p.m. that you'll be getting more information about for book sales. And Curtis, do you have anything else that you
I don't specifically, but I do see where Allison had asked, how do sales from the permanent bookstore sales compare to annual book sales? So, I think that's an interesting question, because if a friends group only has, like a couple of book sales a year, but if you have more of a permanent site that's either open every day or 2 days a week, how do those sales compare?
Right. And as you know, one of the challenges with having a monthly book sale and having them in a location, you have to move the books. You have to move all of those things, and they're just very heavy. So the permanent location is in my opinion, the most rewarding and easiest place for you to do your book sales, because you don't have to do a lot of moving around and that sort of thing. But anything that you can get, even your community, to help you search out a place for a permanent space. And as a nonprofit, they may be willing to really work with you about that. So let's see. Bob and Carol said, Friends of Georgetown has moved to a twice-a-year book sale at the library, and it's a weekly sale. Let me read this. At the downtown farmers market through the summer months, it has significantly increased our community exposure and matched the money we brought in through the twice annual. So they basically moved to a permanent location. Union has a bookstore, Friends on Main, located in the historic Black Hospital, open Thursday, Friday, 10 to 2. Will those on the list receive additional information from this group? Pamela, if you will tell us what kind of information you're looking for, we will try to get that to you. Marcia, you got a good director, because she went to bat for you for that space. That's phenomenal. That is awesome. And I'm just so proud that you guys have it. So Okay, and we'll add you to the email list too. If you have not joined FOSCL as a member for your friends group or individually, please do that. Please go to the FOSCL website and join so that you'll be getting all the updated information when our newsletters go out. We are desperately trying to keep that as a pretty frequent, like maybe once every other month or something like that. So, and when events are happening, you will know that. Grant says Irmo Branch has a small bookshop inside the library. Payment is through a lockbox on the honor system, and it's open when the library is open. So there are many, many, many ways to host a book sale. You don't just have to have a permanent space, but permanent spaces work well. So that's a good way, Grant. And when we put people on an honor system, we try to make them responsible for themselves. So that's all I'll say about that. But does anybody else have any other questions? If you want to unmute and ask for a minute, we can do that.
Yeah, it looks like we've got a couple minutes left. So if anybody has any questions or anything that you would like to share that your friends group has done or has been successful with, then that would be great. And if there aren't any additional things, I will echo what Kitty said. Please be sure and join FOSCL, and you will get on our mailing list, and you'll be able to learn what other friends groups are doing. And that kind of communication, I think, is really important, so that a lot of times we want to reinvent the wheel, but somebody out there in somewhere else in the state is already doing something great that we can learn from. So just keep that in mind, and hopefully we can learn from one another, and forums like this, as we continue to do these in the near future, will be able to get everyone kind of on the same page, so that we're all sharing all the neat stuff that friends groups are doing. So it looks like we are at 2:59, so we're right at the end of our hour. So I will go ahead and say thank you everyone for attending. And again, this session has been recorded, and we will be getting out information to you. If you would like a copy of this presentation, you can contact me directly or contact FOSCL and get a copy of it that way. So I'll just go ahead and wrap things up and say thank you all for attending, and hopefully you can join us at our next session. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you, Curtis.